Leetcode 182, write a solution to report all the duplicate emails. Note that it's guaranteed that the email field is not null. Return the results table in any order. The result format is in the following example. We're going to solve this question in both SQL and Python, breaking it down line by line. Let's start coding. All right, so let's start with the SQL side of things. So the first thing we're going to do is look for the duplicate emails. And this is the example over here for a test case. We have a@b.com, c@d.com, and then a@b.com. So one of the things that we can do on the SQL side of things, and also we're going to use it in Python, is going to be a group by. So let's start thinking about how we can do a group by first. So what I want to do is select email, and then I also want to do a count, which is going to count up the amount of emails that we have that are the same. And I'm going to name this as email count. So as email underscore count like this. And then we're going to have to grab this from a table. So SQL wise, it's going to be from, and we're going to grab person over here because that's the table name. So next, what we're going to have to do is set up our group by. So set up group by, and then we're going to group by this email. So essentially what we're going to get populated is one column is going to have our email, and then the second one is going to do the total amount of count of each of these emails. So group by email. Okay. And you could run this if you want, just to show you what this would look like over here. Obviously this is going to fail because this is not the final code, but you can see over here, our output is a@b.com, which is 2, and c@d.com, which is 1. Okay. So how do we get down into this filter where there is 1? Well, there's a few different ways to do that. I'll show you what I like doing. So what I like doing is essentially writing a query above and then querying it down below. So I'm going to say with taught emails like this. So, and I'm going to say as, and I use this all the time at work. It's a pretty nice way to essentially subquery, but we're going to put all this over here and then grab this. So now we have essentially a table called taught emails like this, or total emails, name it however you want. And we have to query from this table that's created. So this is the table right here. Now we have to think about querying from. So how do we get a@b.com? Well, we want anything that's duplicated. So what is essentially duplicated? Well, 2 emails, 3 emails, 4. So anything that's going to be greater than 1. So our final output, by the way, is going to be this over here, email, and just the name underneath it. So this is pretty easy, right? So do a select again. We can put email in over here, and we're going to grab from this taught emails. Okay. And now let's add in our condition. So what we can do is set a where clause, and we can put this email count that we set up over here is going to be greater than 1. So think about this in perspective, right? So we wrote this first select, right? And we get this output over here, the email. We have our email count over here. And now we query that table once again. So now we're just looking if this email count is over 2. And that's essentially what I did, right? I generated this table over here, which is total emails. And then over here, I'm just grabbing the email from total emails, says email count over than 1. So run it over here, and we'll get this that says it's accepted. And I've already submitted this as correct, tested before the video, and that is going to be my solution on the SQL side of things. Now let's take a look at the Python. All right, so we're starting with Python now, and I believe when we start these questions, we actually have this outside shell that's already generated. So essentially, we're going to be doing the same thing now with Pandas. What's nice is we already have imported Pandas as PD. So let's think about how we can get these counts. So what I'm going to say first is counts equals, and we're going to do a group by. Now the table name again is person. So you can just go over here, and it says person is a data frame that we're going to be inputting into this function. So I'm going to just do person.groupBy. So group by like this. Now we're going to group by specifically our email. And then the next side of things, we can either use size or count because it talks about guaranteeing not to be null. And more trickier questions, which we'll be covering on the channel, essentially that's going to be a differentiator, whether we want to talk about these nulls or not. For this video, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm just going to put size over here, and then I'm going to reset our index. So .reset underscore index. Okay. Now for our next step, we're going to set up 2 columns for this counts, we're going to have our email, and then we're going to have our count associated with it. So counts.columns, and we're going to say that's equal to, and then we're going to put email and count. So email like that, and then also count like this. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next line. Now we're going to have to take a look at our duplicated emails. So kind of same thing with what we did in SQL. We're going to take a look at anything that's going to be greater than 1. So we can say duplicated emails like this, and we're going to say equals, and we can just going to do counts on here, and then inside, which is our counts table or data frame, I should say, we're going to filter. So what we can do is counts, and we can grab over here this count that we created. And I guess it's getting a little confusing with all of these counts and counts, but essentially we have this over here, which is a table, right, based off these columns. And then also now we're going to take a look at the count column associated with it. We're going to take a look at this. If it's going to be greater than 1, we're going to grab that email. So we're going to say grab, and we're going to put this email here on the outside. Now, one more line of code. So we're going to have to return a data frame. So pd.dataframe, data frame. Okay. And now what you can put inside over here, first you can put your email, right? Because that's what we want to have over here. And then what we're going to say is we're going to have our duplicate emails, which is this right above over here. So grab that. So now if we run this code, we get a runtime error. And actually, let me just check this real quick. Error with this code is I forgot an N with columns. I just put columns with MS, and I needed to actually put an N over there. So now if I rerun this, we should have the correct result. And you can see that this has been accepted. And like the SQL query, if I do click submit over here, I will get the correct answer just because I've already submitted this before I recorded this video. So that is Leetcode 172. I hope it solved any confusion that you had with it. Now, if you have a more efficient solution, let me know down below in the comment section because I want to learn as well. And I'm building out a full playlist of Leetcode questions over here, so make sure to check those out.